Hiya! Yes, it's been a while since I have recorded a video, so I thought I would get back into the swing of things with the Goth Snob Tag. Now, as we know, I think it's an annual occurrence that we have these kind of little debates online about being goth and what it's like to be goth, what you should do to be goth, and everybody has their own opinion. Unfortunately, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Here's my two penneth. I don't expect to be liked for this, but I'm not about being popular, because I remember a time when being goth was not very popular, that it was kind of the anti thing to do because it went all against the mainstream. Anyway, I'll get on with the tag video. Number one, what are your views on goth brands and their affordability? Two sides to this fence. The fact that there are goth brands available, it's a good thing. It's a positive thing, and there are lots of people out there that are my kind of age who have built a business up from virtually nothing, and they've gone on to become an international brand, if you like. I remember back in the day there only being Phase and Alchemy Gothic. That was pretty much it. And you had to kind of work around what there was out there in the shops and kind of just mix and match a bit. So we know that, we understand that. The other side of the fence is the brands are there to make money out of people. So good that we've got goth stuff available, not so good that we've got people just making money. What I don't like about it is the fact that a lot of these products are made in the Far East. I haven't got a problem with that, but the problem I have with it is they pay about 5p for an item, might be a t-shirt with a logo on it or whatever, and you are expected to pay £35 or so or whatever for this item. That's what I object to. Profit over people. That's what I don't like. On to the next. Is buying goth brands selling out? Buying branded clothes is a cop-out, in my opinion. Hang me from the rooftops by all means, but I think it's a cop-out. It's like wearing Nike trainers. It's like buying a Samsung phone. Oh, I've got one of those. Right, it's buying into the brand culture, yeah? We have this culture of branding, brand goods, sports goods, etc. And you know that, for example, J-Lo has a perfume, and Beyonce has a perfume, and Katy Perry has a perfume. All these people have perfumes. They're all brands, and I get frustrated by the fact that wherever you go, it's branded goods or nothing. Branded goods or cheap as chips, knockoffs or rip-offs or whatever. So quite where I stand on that is a bit of an issue. So is it selling out? Yeah, in a way it is. We all like things, and we all like pretty things and nice things, and it's nice to buy nice things. It really is. But what's not nice is knowing that these companies are just making money out of people on the back of poverty-stricken countries. Positive things aside, that's quite a negative. If you look at your branded goods, look where they're made. You know, they're generally made in China, Korea. Very, very few are actually made in the country of origin, in the country that they are supposed to be made in, the country that are selling you the clothes. And this goes across the board. This goes for high-end items as well as the lower-end items. They're all made in the same factories. I know this. My mum used to be in the rag trade. My mum used to be a flatbed machinist and an overlocker. Back in the 1960s, she used to make clothes for a living. She made sportswear. She made all kinds of things. They were all made in the same workshops. Those workshops were abandoned, and the work was sent to the Far East, India, Korea, China, etc. because they could pay them less money and make more profit, because that's what it came to. Profit above people. Anyway, on to the next one. Does DIY make you more goth? Not necessarily, but it helped. DIY was part of the culture, part of your creativity coming out. So whether that was painting on a jacket or sewing something or just cutting something into raggy type whatever. I'll go back to the fact that I once made a dress out of a pair of net curtains, and I went to both Whitby Goth Weekend in it and Dracula Centenary event in 1997. I went in my dress made out of net curtains. I had a black corset with it. It was all white and drippy and whatever. And the amount of compliments I got for it was ridiculous. The amount of people who wanted photographs of it was ridiculous. I'd made it out of net curtains that were hung up in the house. Yeah, they were lacy, fine. But that's the kind of thing that we did. And I think allowing your creativity to come out is a good thing. So again, sitting on the fence a bit, be creative, get creative, make your own stuff. Even if you don't think you're very good at it, it doesn't matter, because you've tried, and you've tried to make something new and unique and all yours. Nobody else can take that away from you. What music should you listen to be goth? Goth music? No. You can listen to whatever music you want. If you identify with being goth, yes, part of it was musical subculture, on the one hand. On the other hand, do you identify as goth? So, for me, for example, getting into goth was reading ghost stories and spooky tales when I was younger. So it was reading things like The Picture of Dorian Gray, countless ghost stories, because I like to spook myself. I liked to be a little bit frightened. That's part of it. It's not all about the music, but the music is a big part of it. So bands you should be listening to, check them out. You might not like them, you might like some of them. So for me, having been there from the beginning, you're looking at Sisters of Mercy, you're looking at probably the alternative scene from the north of England that came out of the post-punk movement. So look at punk bands from the 1970s and 80s, preferably the first phase. So you're looking at the Damned, the Stranglers, that had a bit more about them. Yes, the Sex Pistols had a lot about them too. They were in the first wave, as were countless other bands, yeah? Susie and the Banshees, The Cure. You're looking at these bands for your kind of ideals, if you like. Some people put the Smiths in there. I wouldn't. I would say they were more alternative, but there was a lot of synth music at the time that was very creative again. So Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark, Depeche Mode have some darker themes in their music. Look into it, discover it. Look into the New Romantics, look into electronica, look into all aspects of music. Look into classical music. There is a vast amount of classical music out there that has very dark themes. Look at Night on Bear Mountain by Mussorgsky. What a piece of music that is. Absolutely fantastic. Flight of the Valkyries by Wagner. Get out there, listen to it. You will find something that you will absolutely adore. Some stuff you won't like, some stuff you will like. If you like heavy metal music, great. If you like punk music, if you like heavy metal music, if you like electronica, if you like house music, if you like popular music, it's okay. All of those things are great within themselves. Broaden your horizons a bit. Don't just listen to one thing. Listen to lots of different things and pick what's right for you. Next question. What is the minimum requirements to be considered goth? Can I just pick this up? I'm a bit of a grammar Nazi, so it's what are the minimum requirements to be considered goth? Wear black clothes. call yourself a goth. That's pretty much it, really. Yes, you can take it further than that. You can listen to the music, you can follow the aesthetic, you can dye your hair black if you want to. I had black hair for years. Obviously, I'm old, so why should I dye my hair black anymore? When the roots started showing, my hair looked like it was floating on top of my head, so it had to go. I had red hair for years. Do what you want. Make the aesthetic yours. Be unique. Do something different. Even if you stand out, yeah? Now, I'm somebody who didn't stand out for a number of years, and there's nothing wrong with not standing out if your job requires it, etc., etc. But in my spare time, I wore band t-shirts and leggings, pretty much like I do now, really. T-shirts, leggings, just wear what you want, whatever you are comfortable in. If you can't afford to go out and buy every item of clothing in black, get an adult or get somebody, or do it yourself. Dye your clothes black. You can buy fabric dye and it will do amazing things. Yeah, just discover the subculture for yourself and discover all aspects of it for yourself. Should you maintain the goth aesthetic at all times to be considered a true goth? No, is the plain answer to that. No, you don't have to. I worked in a hospital for a number of years, and in that hospital I had to take out all of my piercings, including my nose stud, which at the time was quite risky. Not everybody had nose studs back then. I had to make sure that my tattoo was covered, because these things are not considered normal, or weren't considered normal at the time. My hair was black. I wanted my hair lots of different colours, but I wasn't allowed to because it had to be a natural colour, because I worked within the NHS. All I did was scrape my hair back into a bun and wore it like that. I wore no makeup. I didn't particularly want to wear makeup, to be honest, at work. I was there to do a job. I wasn't there to look pretty. I was there to get covered in blood and shit and vomit and gore and everything, because that was my job. I wasn't there to look pretty. I was there to be presentable, but, you know, and I wore black tights and Doc Marten shoes. That was my concession, but purely practical. I worked in a school. I couldn't have green hair in the school that I worked in. It had to be natural colour only. I had to make sure my tattoos were covered up. I got away with my piercings, but that's mainly because at the time I had longer hair, so I covered them up. You've got to look at where you work as a job, what your career path is, and weigh it up against being goth, yeah? I've got more freedom now that I'm nearly 50 than I ever had in my 20s. Okay, I could have perhaps chosen a different career path, but life would have been very different for me. So you've got to weigh all these things up. Are the big YouTubers selling out stroke cashing in when they receive hauls from companies? Of course they're cashing in. The companies are cashing in because they don't get to pay somebody to advertise their stuff. They've got somebody to do it for nothing. All they've got to do is send them some clothes that cost 5 pence to make, and woo, they're happy. The goth YouTubers are happy because they've got nice stuff to wear, whatever it is. The companies are happy because they don't have to pay you. They just send you some stuff. It's a win-win situation. If you are to do an advertising and marketing for your company, it costs a lot of money. I know graphic designers, I know people in that industry who do marketing and so on. Believe you me, it is big business. It costs a lot of money. So just thinking about it, if you work in that industry, if you're a graphic designer or an advertising executive, or you even just make the tea for these people, your job is on the line by companies giving free stuff to people so that they can show it off on YouTube. Yes, it reaches a wider targeted audience, yeah? than your advertising campaign might do. So back in the day, advertisements used to be in magazines because there was no internet. We didn't have goth brands advertised on television. It didn't happen. But they were advertised in magazines that we read, so we sent off for catalogues, and that's how it was done. These days, they don't need to produce catalogues because they have a website. So maybe they've got to pay models. But even then, people send in their pictures of themselves wearing the stuff. It's free, it costs nothing. So these companies are just making more and more profit. And they're profiting off the backs of the popular gothic YouTubers, of the popular YouTubers. Yeah? This is our point. As elder goths, this is our point. The people who are the gothic YouTubers are being taken advantage of by companies wishing to target an audience with their products. End of. Simple as. It isn't that difficult to understand. Am I jealous because Killstar won't send me lots of stuff? Hell no. I don't want to wear it, and it probably wouldn't fit me anyway because I'm a bit on the chubby side. You know, my daughters could probably, you know, benefit from it, but do they want to wear Killstar? I don't know. Killstar has been the brand that's been bandied about, but there are lots of brands out there, so you make your own mind up about that. But I firmly say the companies are making money out of the gothic YouTubers who are happy to sit there, monetize their videos to get money, and also to Patreon their videos to gain money. Now, I've no problem with that. I've no problem with them using it as a means of gaining an income. What I don't like is when they're sent thousands of pounds worth. It's not thousands of pounds worth. The companies are sending them stuff. All it's costing them is postage, because the profits that they make from the sales of the goods that they've got outweighs any of it. Support local, smaller craft industries. You will get a better product, you'll get something much more unique, and the world then is your oyster. And you can shout about it as much as you like. The other side of it is the gothic YouTubers often are told not to say that they have been given these products. Why not? Where's the shame? What, I was given these products by this company, I'm showing you all about them. It's all positive stuff. They've got to spin it in a positive way, because that's what advertising and marketing is. It's about spinning things into a positive way. I would be interested in, do the garments stand up to being washed 10 times? Do the garments stand up to, you know, or is the sewing of the product well enough done? Or do the seams split as soon as you sit down in something? That's the kind of stuff I want to know. I don't want to know about how beautiful this thing is. I want to know if it's practical. I've got a dog, I've got children. Yeah, there may be a point when I may get grandchildren or step-grandchildren. You know, I want to be able to crawl around on the floor and not have to worry about whether something's going to split or not. Okay, the big name YouTubers live their lives in public. Should they expect privacy in their private lives? The problem with putting yourself up there somewhere is that there is always somebody who is there to take you down. Yes, they can expect privacy to a degree, but they have made themselves celebrities of a culture. Look at Jeffree Star, countless other YouTubers out there. Looking back to the earlier times, Sebastian Columbine, the same, Adora Bratbat, so on and so on. There's lots of people out there who've kind of put themselves up as an internet star. With that comes a certain level of people wanting to have a piece of you, invade your privacy. You know, there are people out there, albeit they may be a bit strange, who will follow you, they will find out where you live, they will hound you on the street. So yes, if you put yourself out there, you are going to expect to have your privacy invaded. It happens to celebrities all the time, which is why they live in gated communities. They live in very expensive places where they know they won't be bothered by the general public. Most high-level musicians live in, or not so high-level musicians, live in country estates where they have big fences and massive gates on so that they can keep themselves away from the world. Because if they didn't, there'd be somebody knocking on their door every day. Because that's human nature. We aspire to have idols and people to look up to. It's part of humanity. It's just what we do. So once we've put somebody up there, technically it could be said we own them because we've placed them above everybody else. The fact is they're not different to anybody else at all. They are the same as everybody else. They still do the same things that we do. It's just that they spend more money doing it. Okay, so maybe the Gothic YouTubers don't spend so much money doing it, but the higher level celebrities do. But you cannot put a medium level YouTuber that has got 300,000 subscribers in the same category as Los Angeles film star. Yeah. Point of fact, Eddie Redmayne, Newt Scamander in the Fantastic Beasts film series, lives about 9-10 miles away from me. I haven't seen him, but I know people that have seen him in the local shops, and he's a lovely bloke. Yeah, but they let him get on with it. They let him get on with being who he is, going and buying some carrots. Yeah, because they're not starstruck. Yeah, most people would walk past him in the street and not know who he was. Yeah, because when they're out of character, you don't recognise people. The same happened, I'm not putting myself on the same level, but the same happened to me. I go to the goth clubs and I'd be all done up in my finery. And people in my everyday life, my working life, certainly when I worked at the hospital, never recognised me. I like that. I like the fact that I wasn't recognised. It was great. Yeah? Put yourself out of place. Don't necessarily belong to the ideal that you apparently should be. Be yourself. Okay, what's your view on goths wearing different symbols that are... Oh, hang on, I can't read my own writing. What's your view on goths wearing different symbols that are aligned with different religions? I can see that there is an issue with some of that, mainly because we now have a lot of occult symbology being used. Bringing it back to Killstar, they are guilty as about it. You put these symbols out there. Now, as someone who has had experience in the occult, certainly through witchcraft and Wicca and paganism, druidry, etc., I know that some of these symbols call into being certain entities. If you're using demonic sigils, you are technically putting it out there. Yes, some of these symbols look great and they're fantastic, and if they're used in a ritual context, which technically they should be, and that's what they were designed for, is they were designed to be used within a protected space. If you're into the occult and magic and whatever, you will know. If you're not, then you may need to do a little bit of reading. When you are using this, you are bringing these energies into being. Whether you call these energies demons, whether you call these energies whatever, you're bringing it into being. That's part of the mindset of being in that magical mind space within your magic circle, as you're calling this into being. When you do that, there are specific things that you must do, rituals that you follow, and the reason why is because this has been done for centuries. People know that they need to do this, to do this, to do this, to do this, to release it, to whatever. Yeah, they banish these entities at the end of the ritual. I've known ceremonial magicians who would not in a million years look at or use a symbol or a sigil of a particular entity without doing all of the steps first. They just wouldn't do it. So, as regards other things, so for example wearing a pentacle perhaps, or a pentagram, or an inverse pentagram, part of that is identity. For example, I used to wear a pentacle all the time. I've got a particular silver pentacle that I got when I first got involved in Wicca and paganism, and I used to wear it all the time. I never stopped wearing it. And occasionally I get people looking at it, and quite often, you know, just kind of sideways glances and knowing nods, you know. And then I remember somebody actually stopped me once and asked me, do you use that? And my response was, on occasion. That was all that needed to be said. We knew between us that we knew we were both on the same path. That's all we needed to say. Yes, some of these symbols and sigils and what have you look pretty, and they look particularly nice in white on black clothing. However, be careful. I will say the same around Ouija boards. Be careful. The most problems that occur with regard to ceremonial magic and paganism, etc, 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 is people not knowing what they are dealing with. Yes, there are positive energies out there. The sun is one of them. The sun is the greatest possible positive energy we have. And all things have a good and a bad side, as we know. There needs to be balance achieved. There are good things in life, there are not so good things in life. If you're focusing on the dark all the time, where is the light in your life? If you're constantly focusing on demonic sigils and the like, where is the goodness in your life? I had a very good conversation with a ceremonial magician once, and he said you have to learn the good stuff first, because otherwise you will not know how to deal with the bad stuff. And I thought that's actually quite sensible advice. And he was addressing a group of us, and he was talking specifically to one guy who wanted to perform demonic magic. He wanted to really go into the dark side of things, and he said, you've got no chance. If you come up against an entity that you cannot deal with, it's going to drive you mad. So you've got to, the reason we do it is you do the positive stuff first, you get used to using those energies and working with those energies, and then you might decide to tackle the dark side. As I said, balance. It's all about balance. Just be careful. That's all I'm going to say, is be careful. If you want to wear crosses, fine. You know, they were part of the goth aesthetic from get-go, wearing rosaries or whatever. Now, I'm somebody who was from a Catholic background, so wearing a rosary to me is honouring that side of things, of honouring my ancestors. So look into your past, look into your family's past. Are there things that you can appropriate for yourself from your own ancestors? I know that some of the Mexican people who are of Mexican descent certainly go whole hog for sugar skulls and the Dios de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, and all of that aesthetic. Explore your own aesthetic of your own country, of your own origins, and see what it does for you. How do you feel about the negativity, bullying and elitism in the community? Some of the people who are being accused of elitism and bullying, etc, etc, myself included, horse shit, basically. Those of us that are older speak from experience. We speak from having been there, from having been, some people were beaten up for looking different, for being different. There are a number of people who have had a hard time of it down the years. So we speak from experience. We're not bullying people and saying, don't do it. We're saying, watch out. I personally am saying, watch out, you could be being taken advantage of. You might not know it because you're getting loads of free stuff and it's all lovely and shiny and wonderful. But what happens when that stops? What happens when you are not flavour of the month anymore? How do you keep current? How do you maintain that? With the goth aesthetic, the gothic aesthetic, it is something that comes in and it goes out. It comes into fashion, it goes out of fashion. Some seasons you will see dripping black lace everywhere, and other years, nothing. It's the way of the world. There are seasons and cycles of everything. What goes around. I have not seen any bullying myself. The only bullying I've seen is from people who are generally younger. They have a particular idea of what goth is. They may follow some of the higher end gothic YouTubers with 300,000 followers, etc. And they feel that because of that, the private lives of those people is theirs. And they can speak on behalf of that person. They don't speak on behalf of anybody. The only person you should be speaking on behalf of is yourself. I think I've run out of battery power on my camera, so I'm going to leave it there. I'll leave you with that.